This is the AyaNeo Pocket Air. It's the latest gaming handheld from AyaNeo. In fact, it's their first foray into the world of Android. Now, I've been using this for the past couple of weeks, and while I've loved my time with it, there is one major issue that stops me from recommending it to most people. Hey guys, Ash here, and today on C4E Tech, let's take a look at the AyaNeo Pocket Air. Let's start on a positive note. The Pocket Air has a lot going for it. Remember the AyaNeo Air 1S that we saw a little while back? The Pocket Air, this is basically an Android handheld in that same casing, so it's much thinner and lighter. Even by Android standards, it's ridiculously light. That said, the Pocket Air feels well built and the buttons are quite tactile and clicky. We get Hall sensor analog sticks alongside Hall sensor triggers. Now while I absolutely adore the large triggers, I would have definitely liked for the sticks to be a little bigger. Yes, it's Hall sensor, there are no dead zones, no stick drift, I get that, but small sticks are particularly difficult to use when you play games that are meant for current gen consoles. For example, when you stream, the aiming it's harder. For retro though, it's quite good. You know what, let me actually walk you through the device. Here we have the intake and exhaust vents. A couple of extra buttons are hidden away up top. There's a LED ring for each of the sticks. Here are two keys to bring up menus and return home. A power button that has a fingerprint scanner built in. A USB Type-C port that can do display out. A headphone jack and a tray. Here you can add either two 4G nano SIMs or a SIM and a microSD card. While the build quality is good, the biggest highlight here has gotta be that display. This here's a 5.5-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED panel with a 16:9 aspect ratio. It's a bright and vibrant panel, and while its spec sheet is not gonna wow phone enthusiasts, the Pocket Air happens to be the only dedicated handheld with a relatively new OLED screen. Now yes, you do have Anbornix RG505 reusing that Vita OLED from over a decade back, and then we've got the Razer Edge, which is barely an actual gaming handheld. It's got a 20:9 phone panel, it's more of a tablet with a controller. So this display here, coupled with an excellent build and stellar performance, makes the AyaNeo Pocket Air worth paying attention to. Oh yeah, the performance. Under the hood, the Pocket Air is powered by MediaTek's Dimensity 1200 SoC, which as of today is arguably the most powerful chip you can find on an Android-based retro handheld. I say arguably since the XR2 on the Pimax portal might be a little more powerful, but the Dimensity 1200 here is definitely endgame emulation silicon. It's capable of running pretty much any system we've got an emulator on Android for. Now before you get mad at that statement, I'm gonna ask you to take it with an asterisk, which I will explain in just a bit. Now, AyaNeo offers 3 SKUs, 6/128, 8/256 and 12/512. The RAM is LPDDR5 and the storage UFS 3.1. Now there is a fan on the inside, but AyaNeo has done quite a good job with cooling that it's not really needed, at least not for performance. With the fan on, as you can see, we get 99% stability, which is amazing. But with the fan off, I still ended up getting 98.3% stability on the stress test. Of course, the fan being on did keep the device from getting warm, which is probably the only use case I can think of for it, because passive cooling, as I mentioned, is just that good. Now despite being a thin and light handheld, AyaNeo's thrown in a 7350 mAh battery. Now if you were to run the Pocket Air full throttle, you should expect about 3.5 to 4 hours on a single charge. Now with the fan on, that's gonna drop to 2.5 to 3 hours. But like I said, passive cooling, pretty awesome. Now when I was emulating older systems or streaming, I was easily able to get 7 to 10 hours out of the Air. That coupled with the fact that the idle drain is very low, I ended up plugging it in like twice a week at best. Okay, let's now switch on over to the negatives. Let me start with a couple of minor ones. First, the display size. 5.5 inches is okay for a lot of systems, but for something like the Switch or streaming, something more recent, the text, it could be a tad too small to read. Then there's the software. AyaNeo's tried to provide their own front end to manage different game systems, and it's a work in progress at the moment. Getting the artwork to load, scraping cover art, getting all systems recognized, it's, like I said, a work in progress. On-screen key mapping, for example, is something that's yet to be pushed out. That said, I call it a minor con because at the end of the day, you could just throw Digishow on it and be done with it. At least till iSpace gets better. Things that work though, like the quick tool overlay, they seem polished. Now here's where you do things like set up the custom keys, gyro controls. Oh yeah, there's dual 6-axis gyroscopes here and a linear x-axis motor for excellent haptics, all controlled from here. There's even a built-in performance overlay similar to what AyaNeo offers for their Windows handhelds. While I like all that, the software as of today, it kinda has a half-baked feel to it. I really hope they fix it, and they have been. They've been pushing out constant updates, and I actually think they will continue to support it. Why? Well, that brings us to that asterisk I mentioned and the biggest reason why I can't really recommend the Pocket Air. Now, before the Pocket Air's Indiegogo listing happened, Ayan announced the Odin 2, and that is coming with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. Now, Ayan has a habit of spoiling other brands' launches. They announce products with timelines they know they have no realistic way of meeting. Remember the Loki Zero announcement to screw over the Win 600? Anyone? If you look at that, it took Ayan almost a year to launch that product. So while I'd be happy if the Odin 2 ships in December, I'm not gonna hold my breath. I'm not gonna be surprised if it doesn't. Now that is not the reason why I won't recommend this. Just after Ayan's announcement, Arthur, CEO of AyaNeo, announced AyaNeo is gonna be coming out with their own better than 8 Gen 2 device, the AyaNeo Pocket S. And I do believe AyaNeo is capable of launching devices in promised timeframes, well, more or less. So with more powerful devices on the horizon, regardless of if it's from AyaNeo or Ayan, spending $300 on a Dimensity 1200 device today almost seems irresponsible. Because while the Dimensity 1200 can run every system, something with the 8 Gen 2 or better can give you higher upscaling because it's just gonna be a lot more power in general. Because even the 8 Gen 2 is like 3 generations newer in comparison. And the G3X Gen 2 on the Pocket S, that's expected to be about 20% more powerful. Anyways, that's how I feel. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching and have a nice day. Bye bye.